How's it going, Bat Family? Welcome to a brand new The Batman video. Thank you for clicking on today's video. It's kind of weird for me to acknowledge that this could very well be one of the final videos you see from me until I guess the review comes out, which is insane. Today, since, you know, we are days away from the release, we have some new scenes to look at. Now, as a result, I do want to put a little bit of a spoiler warning because obviously these are officially released by Warner Bros. Pictures, but at the same time, if you're kind of thinking along the lines of you want to see every last scene completely fresh, then maybe you might not want to see these. To me, I don't personally mind. They don't spoil too much more than what we've seen really from the trailers. It's just kind of an extended preview. It gives us, if anything, more hype going in for me. So make up your mind there. But as of what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it, react to it, and just basically break down my pure, unfiltered thoughts as usual. And hey, look what finally arrived in the freaking mail for me. A little cool, little gold-plated Pattinson emblem. I just really want to kind of like flick it at the camera, but I guess that might break the beauty that is these things. Or maybe, oh, it could be a new little mustache, eh? All right, that's it, guys. I've decided. Yeah, the mustache is getting upgraded. This is how I'm rocking up to the Batman. Yeah, gluing this to my face after this video. Other than that, guys, before we dive into this, I would really appreciate it. And the only reason I'm saying this again is because so many of you, after I said it in my previous video, commented saying, holy crap, I've been watching your videos for years, but you always appear on my homepage amongst the subscriptions. But also, as I told you in my last video, I also get recommended to a lot of you. And as a result, I think a lot of you think that you're subscribed, or at least some of you, when you actually might not be. So if you have been watching my videos, you've been enjoying them. Maybe you're not subscribed because you don't want to be, fair enough. But if you think that you have been, double check the red subscribe button. Maybe you're actually not. And maybe today is the day you'll hit that nice little red button and be subscribed to the channel for all kinds of news, reviews, and breakdowns just like this. And a like is also always appreciated. Hit that little freaking thumbs up button underneath the video. But let's get into the first scene. Good old Selina. This is the mayor's crime scene, by the way, just in case you don't know. And what she's doing there is clearly breaking into his safe. I love just the sneakiness of Selina here. But this bit. Bruce completely sneaks up behind her. The music, by the way, the score in the background. I love the shots. Multiple different shots.
You're pretty good at that.
You're pretty good at that. I love that grapple bit. Ugh. That examination of one another. And again. And again. I love the way he ran with the cape there.
Give me that.
I love that ending to it. It's just like, hey, give me that. The fighting stops and give me that. So what I think a lot of us can draw out of this, first impressions, is this somewhat playful. It's the inception of their relationship, if you will, their first meeting. And they, as much as Bruce, I guess, is defending himself in that moment, it's also, he's got this confidence about him. It doesn't look like he's really trying. I like how Selina's being super crafty. Zoe Kravitz, way back even into the Empire interviews up until today, something she's somewhat repeated is like, you know, clearly she can't take on Batman in terms of strength. He's a larger kind of person who can, as we see at the end, pin her down if he has an opportunity to do so. But to prevent that from happening, she has to be a bit more fast, agile, unpredictable with her combat, and that's exactly what we see here. And I love how Bruce just very sneakily comes in. It's the old famous bat trick of just appearing without her even hearing him, but he did come down on a grapple hook, and I love how it is the one, obviously, that folds out of the wrist and like flips back in. We've seen that in the trailers, you know, where it just is that mechanism that just comes out. But as you can see, before he starts to fight with her, well, starts defending himself from her initial attacks, it just flicks and folds back in. And that's something that I'm a bit fanboying out over, because it's just that Bat Gadget stuff that is I also like how Bruce doesn't really seem to want to hurt her here. Like, even when he's defending himself, it seems like, you know, Bruce has trained. If you want to get into all the details about that, I have gone over the prequel novel. Not only was he trained by Alfred initially, but when he did go off to college and traveled around the world with multiple different educational colleges and courses, if you will, he learned from various different people, and it's a really nice way of pertaining to super traditionalist canon whilst being innovative, as I always say is my preference. But back to the main point here. It seems like it isn't much of a challenge for him. He's just kind of stopping her, grabbing her leg, you know, and she tries to get it. And he could just, like, punch her there, but he doesn't want to. He's just like, let me know when you're done, Selina, and, you know, I can see exactly what you're trying to do here, which is what he did. Like, he managed to pin her down, get what she got from the safe. The cinematography and the camera work here is just overall very... I love it. Like, it's not, like, too fast and snappy shots. Every single time it does cut to a different angle, it feels like nice. I love the angle of when Batman kind of runs towards her when she's trying to get a jump kick on him just before, you know, he pins her down on the table, so to speak. And it looks like, I can't really tell what that is. It seems like maybe some kind of passport. I'm really not sure. We do know that Selina is, like, initially the way that she bumps into Batman, from what we've heard from the interviews, is that she's looking for a friend of hers who went missing, and it all pertains down to the Iceberg Lounge, criminal underworldy somewhat stuff. But before Bruce even grabs that off of her, and when they're pinned down on the table, he's just looking into her eyes. Now, if that was a bit too much longer, any longer, it would come across, I don't know if the right word is cheesy, but it's like, okay, they're clearly trying to get that connection built, but I feel like this is subtle enough and nice enough where it's like, damn, who are you kind of thing, but also not making it so long to the point of where it comes across almost whimsical. And that's exactly what this scene needed, and I feel like they really succeeded here. And once he, again, just, it speaks to the larger of how Bruce wasn't really worrying about himself getting hurt, because soon as he's got that, he's just walking off. Like, she could, like, jump kick him again, but he's not really worried about that, and she's just like, hey, give me that. It just shows you how his guard is quite lowered, even in front of meeting Selina properly here. Now, up next is an extended clip of the very scene of the Batmobile chase, and where Batman is going after Oz Cobblepot, and in his wake, you know, when he's escaping the Batman, there's a lot of damage being left behind. So let's go through this one. I love this car, man. Let the ramp up. I love Colin's demeanor here as Pengy. I got you. Ah, got the chills. Oh, that horror music as it's landing, like the screeching. Like, so my only concern about this, and I've been over it through whether it's mutuals on Twitter, you guys know who you are. What I'm trying to get to here, because I'm getting lost, is that clearly at the end there, some people were saying that maybe that multiple car flip in the Bat and Cat trailer is not caused necessarily by the Batman. Because my only concern, as much as I'm a fan of this movie, is that I feel like my critical thinking as a result of me making reviews does make me think about certain things, is that if Batman has his no kill rule, which he definitely does, even Robert Pattinson has spoken about it. When Batman in this moment, right at the very end, hits the edge of Oswald's car, that causes him to do those multiple flips. And we're not just talking a casual car wreck. We're talking like barrel roll upon barrel roll upon barrel roll. And if Batman's willing to do that he can't guarantee Oz's life in that situation, it kind of made me think, are they kind of sacrificing Bruce's commitment to his own rule maybe for a bit of a rule of cool moment in the movie, which I totally acknowledge, by the way, is a thing in movies. And some people do come out the woodworks like, well, he knew he wasn't going to die because he's Batman. Right, yeah, that's a great excuse for writing there. Or like, you know, oh, seatbelts, Boba. You do realize people die with seatbelts in less dangerous looking crashes than this one. So you get what I'm trying to say. I don't even think I'm being pedantic. If you have a no kill rule, you wouldn't necessarily do things that could, and you can't guarantee the outcome of a kill. However, what I was saying earlier, I have had my mind slightly a little bit wrapped around this. Bruce may well indeed have his no kill rule, but he does something like this because clearly in this Batmobile chase scene, he is very, very angry. Oz has not only pissed him off before this, but he is doing things that is not only putting other people's lives in danger, as you're seeing, trucks exploding, going on their side, blowing up left, right, and center. It is further and further poking the bear. Like, they say you shouldn't poke the bear. Imagine if you poke the bear, and then poke the bear, and poke the bear, and poke the bear. Oz is in for a reckoning from the Batman. So I do believe that since this is an early Batman, despite having a no-kill rule, since this Batman has such an issue with keeping a lid on his rage, as we've even seen in other trailers where he's punching and punching and punching that Riddler goon, even Selina in the background is looking horrified at what she's witnessing. Like, we know that at some point in the trilogy, Batman, as Robert Pattinson's Bruce, only 2 years in, will achieve a little bit more of an equilibrium, and we'll be talking about that in the next clip after this. But at this moment, he is so dead on to his mission. Without this mission, if he didn't have Batman, it's death for Bruce, more or less. That's been said in interviews as well. He's so locked in, and he's also got an issue with his anger. Batman's always got anger issues, don't get me wrong, but he's got more of an issue with his anger. So as a result, I think there are moments that despite having a no-kill rule, he can be reckless. And I think this is an example of that, because I don't think anyone, and this isn't trying to sound close-minded, but if you're Batman, like with what happens in the other trailers, as you're seeing on screen, you can't guarantee the survival. Like, anyone's neck could get broken. Like, that's how Whiplash happens in the first place. So you know what I mean. That was always something that I thought, like, oh, this looks so awesome, but like at the same time, if he has a no-kill rule, does this technically not contradict Bruce's own commitment to his own philosophy and morals if, as a result, get Penguin killed there? But, you know, what I just said. So I do think Bruce does have a bit of a learning curve whilst already having an established rule. That's just something that needs to be developed on. He needs to put a little bit of a lid on things. I would love to know what you think of that. I mean, sure, there's going to be plenty of you who are just totally like, oh, I don't care. Come on, Boba, man. Like, it's just a movie. But, like, I'm more on the level of just because it's a movie doesn't mean that, like, you can't take into account what that actually means on the fundamental level of, like, the character when writing the character, if you know what I mean. Like, at different strokes for different folks, I suppose. But with that out the way, we've seen this scene a bunch of times. Even a lot of angles in this very moment. I mean, obviously, the extra moment we got is when Bruce had an opportunity of where, very luckily, actually, that truck allowed for a little ramp. To be honest, that is quite convenient, but I don't care at the same time. Like, you can see right before then the truck turns, it loosens its little ramp, which the cars go up anyway, to make the Batmobile have that opportunity to fly over. Bruce would have been fine if that didn't conveniently happen anyway. It just means that Penguin might have gotten away. But there's so many aspects about this clip that I love at the same time. For example, one of the moments I pointed out is when Oz is like, I got you, you freaking psycho. You know, I mean, Oz, you're arguably a bit of a psycho, but anyway, I think he just views this guy as just like such a horror. Like, who the is this guy? Like, no one would dare challenge me and Carmine Falcone, let alone, like, this guy. Like, who is he? And then, just as you think you've got him, he bursts through the fire and the flames, quite literally. That is insane. But as Matt Reeves has gone on about with the horror aspects of the Batmobile, they wanted that Batmobile to be a literal horrific presence, something that is almost just as feared as the Bat himself, like when it just turns the lights on in some of the TV spots. Here, they just add that music in. It's just like, it's like a screeching, like high-pitched violin, fiddly kind of noise, and it's like, damn. And Oz's face is there to match what happens. And then obviously it's going to go into the bit where the car just goes flippity flip, 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 goes upside down, and then Batman parks with a nice handbrake turn and walks towards the Penguin. And it's just like, yeah, in this moment, Oz knew he fucked up. Right, so up next is personally, I think, one of my favorite clips, because this is something, if you've been watching a lot of my videos, is one of my most anticipated scenes or things in the movies, the dynamics between characters, like Batman, Bruce with Jim Gordon, Batman, but mainly Bruce with Alfred. You know, of course, Selina as well, but you know what I mean? The essence for me is a lot of the time those two characters, Alfred and Bruce. And in this movie, with what we've heard going in, just their relationship, how it might be not what you quite expect at this point, this scene really personifies it. I believe it also comes from Good Morning America. I do recommend going to their YouTube channel, checking out the full video they've uploaded, because they have an interview of Andy Serkis where he's so articulate and really summarizes very well what the relationship is like between Alfred and Bruce, what Alfred is even like in this movie. But then they show this little snippet that is being uploaded absolutely everywhere. Unfortunately, well, maybe fortunately, to be honest, it's very, very quick, but it gives and radiates off so much. And I can't wait to get into it, so let's do this.
Our accounting friends at Wayne Enterprises are coming for breakfast.
Here? Why?
Because I couldn't get you to go there.
I haven't got time for this.
It's getting serious, Bruce. If this continues, it won't be long before you've nothing left.
I don't care about that. Any of that.
You don't care about your family's legacy?
that look.
What I'm doing is my family's legacy.
What I mean by that look, by the way, is that look he gives. That look he gives Alfred is just like, it's that glare. It's like, you don't care about your family's legacy, and it's just like he's. I don't know if the right word is enraged, but it's almost like a how dare you say that to me, because he probably knows at the same time Alfred is both right. But it's also like, how dare you, Alfred? Because it's like, what I am doing is all about my family legacy. This is my family legacy. So that very look Robert Pattinson gives just in that moment is such a instantaneous reaction to what he said, where you could tell Bruce is annoyed. I think for me, it's just that pause. Like, you don't care about your family's legacy. And then he just looks to the side. And before speaking, he's just looking at him. And there's like 1,000 words spoken in that picture, so to speak. At the same time, you can't fault Alfred. You can't fault him at all, because with the context of the prequel novel and everything like that, there's so many fascinating things going on just within this bloody 20-second clip. And I want to read out what I tweeted, because I think I kind of summarized it quite well. Just to plug my Twitter, I do recommend following me there, because I'm very active, and I guess I give my thoughts out before some videos. But with regards to specifically this Alfred clip, the frustration of Alfred, just trying to maintain that Wayne legacy. Like with what Andy Serkis said in the Good Morning America interview, again, check it out. I'll leave a link down in the description. There's this kind of honor he has for like Thomas Wayne, and this kind of connection he can't have with Bruce, because Alfred in of himself is a bit desensitized because of the war. He's had a relationship with Bruce, don't get me wrong, but he can't and hasn't quite been that father figure like he probably should have been. And it's not like through lack of trying, I think, but also Bruce, as we know from that moment when his parents died, went down his own. There's a divergence between two characters, and in this movie, more than ever, it really will display that, and the contextual history behind that, I'm sure. And it's not to say that, as I said, this equilibrium will be achieved, but that's why I say this trilogy is a psychological development for the Batman and Bruce Wayne, because as we know in this movie, he's really, really not into philanthropy. He's not doing this, that. He doesn't care about the public persona. So as I continue in the tweet, nothing else matters, only his mission as Batman. And that's also me abbreviating what has been said by Reeves and Pattinson as well. So Alfred has seen Bruce go down this rabbit hole for over a decade, if you count the prequel novel inception of the Gotham Project. That's what Bruce calls this Batman, vigilante mode. Like, it has been called the Gotham Project for a long, long time. But he's kind of stood by and been like, okay, he's let him get on with it for all that time. He did express his concern with how he was fearful of what Bruce is getting into. And in this scene here, it's got to a point of where things have got so much worse in Batman Year 1 and 2, because he's watching him disappear up his own arse, to put it very bluntly. And as he says, with regards to Wayne Enterprises, etc., it won't be long before you've nothing left. He set up a breakfast with the accountants from Wayne Enterprises or whatever, not at Wayne Enterprises. That's why Bruce is like, here, why? Like, why would you do that? And that's when he kind of has a little outburst. It's because I can't get you to go over there. Like, Bruce, you need to do something. Otherwise, your family's legacy of Wayne Enterprises will go and collapse. Because he's not doing anything. Like, Alfred is juggling it all by himself, but I think it's got to that desperate point where he's being hounded by the board or the accountants saying, we need some input from Master Wayne. We need to kind of get him. But Bruce is denying it. And in this clip, as you see, it's I don't care about that. Any of that. Because it's just, to him, I think even entertaining it gets that boiling pit of frustration you sometimes feel in your chest or stomach. It's I don't care about it, Alfred. Just can you fuck off with that? I don't care. And that's when Alfred, for once, I think here is challenging him. You need to, because what are you gonna do? Don't you care about your family's legacy? And this is why this is such a perfect scene with the dialogue to me, because it shows everything. Because for Alfred, as I carry on in this tweet here, seeing the boys become a man of whom he was supposed to protect, in his eyes, just somewhat seemingly throw away what Alfred regards as, the Wayne legacy, and arguably do something and commit himself to something that is more or less, seemingly to Alfred, going to get him killed. It just breaks Alfred. It adds to this somewhat frustration and fracture of their relationship that is being described as somewhat icy when they do actually have exchanges with each other. And with the comment of I don't care about that, any of that, all that matters is Bruce's drive to do what he does as Batman. Without that, as Pattinson and Reeves have said themselves, it's death for him. He either does this or he kind of just dies, which is a pretty sad, dark way to put it. He will, as I keep going on about, find an equilibrium with all of this, of course, but seeing it in this raw format in Batman's early stages is just riveting. And this is why Reeves kind of wanted to tackle this angle. Bruce is like so engrossed in this, and as we know, as Batman's expertise grows throughout the years, he will kind of, this isn't to say he's going to be the playboy billionaire Bruce Wayne, even in this trilogy. Like, they don't have to get to that or even do that iteration, but what I mean by this equilibrium is that he understands what Alfred will be going on about here. He can understand that he doesn't have to be in this pit or void of like such commitment to Batman, and he will always be committed to Batman, but you know what I'm saying here. There will be this kind of psychological development, or as Pattinson says, he's got this psychological roadmap already pitted out for Bruce Wayne and Batman for the next 2 movies, in where, yes, he is in essence the Batman as per the title of this movie, but right now, as per the working title, he is just vengeance. Like, he lives and breathes vengeance, and there is little room for anything else, which is why I'm so excited for this universe to continue, because we're going to see this man, Bruce, start to like understand, like, this is where Batman ego comes in quite importantly in this story, the duality of Bruce Wayne and Batman, because right now there isn't so much, and that's not me saying, oh, there is no Bruce Wayne, there is only Batman thing. No, I'm just saying right now, with the way it is, Bruce, or should I say Batman, there is no Bruce to him. Like, he is like everything that is him is Batman. But that's going to be such a fascinating thing, is finding that version of himself. Because as even Pattinson has said himself, if somebody was to like kind of take the mask off him, it would reveal that identity. And that is so horrific or horrifying to him that it is like death to him. So that's why, you know, just like little lines like that give you a taste of as to what he views as all of this, and the energy from this scene, the energy and demeanor and cadency to Alfred, and it speaks for itself. On top of my rambling, I suppose, what I'm doing is my family's legacy. Such a powerful way to end that off. So I think I'll end this video here, guys. I don't want to drag this one out for too much longer. There are other scenes, like the kind of pizzeria kind of behind the scenes look thing. I might do that as a bonus video, depending on if I can before the release. I'm not saying this is the last video or anything like that before the movie comes out. It's just I've got other videos to do this week, like Superman and Lois reviews and other bits. You know, despite me doing a lot of Batman content recently, this isn't a Bat-centric channel. I do like to cover a variety of content, so stay with me here, because, you know, I've ordered 50 oxygen tanks because it feels like I'm under the water trying to maintain everything at the same time. And that's not complaining, by the way. I love it, but, you know, I've got other bits and bobs to cover, so don't know when the next video will be, but it might be here somewhere. But for now, I hope you've enjoyed this one. Can't wait to read your comments. As I always say, like, seriously, read it on my phone, my laptop, my PC. I read every single comment, so leave your comment down below. I'll heart it if I can, and maybe reply to a few. I'd really appreciate it if you got to this far as well. Holy crap, you know, like the video. Like, seriously, that would really help me out. And subscribe if you're brand new, or just check if you got this far as well. Leave a comment by proving that you've got this far with whatever comment you're gonna say. Hashtag family legacy. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you back, family, in the next video. Goodbye.